warning signs flash for Biden in recent polling. And we're seeing a little bit more activity out of Biden. You know, we're seeing some more foreign activity. He actually flew over to Israel and feels like he's a little bit more, active than usual. And so I think they might be responding to some of this. Here's what it says. Warning signs are flashing in recent polls, several showing him locked in a tight race with Trump, and some even showing him trailing Trump, underscoring the extent to which the presidential election is likely to come down to the wire. The campaign has emphasized that the election is still more than a year away, which is not good for them. It gets worse every month, ultimately. I mean, the world feels like it gets more disorderly every month. Inflation goes up. We have more illegal immigration. We have more global conflict. China's probably going to invade Taiwan next year at some point, so we'll see if that happens. And it's just okay. I think they have a better shot now than later. People will recognize the economy's getting worse, bankruptcies are going up, and so on. So they say still the combination of the close polling has some political observers cautious about Biden's chances. This guy, Dave Wasserman, he's over at the Cook Political Report, posted earlier this month on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, thank you for that, and says that he believed that Biden would lose the election to an indicted Trump if the election was held today. Whoa! He noted that Biden had a positive favorability rating, while Trump's was about 41% in 2020, but Trump was only still 42,000 votes away. That's it. It was small margins. That's why those wheelbarrows were so important that they dropped off after the water main broke, in Fulton County. They don't need that many. They just needed, 42,000, not that much. Now, fast forward to 2024 with national polls, tied with national polls, 40% Biden approval, equally dismal Biden and Trump favorability, more economic pessimism, growing migrant international concerns, and RFK/Cornell West to double Jill Stein's poll on the campuses, etc. Biden is absolutely in dire shape. Yeah, and we don't have COVID, right? We don't have COVID to suppress the turnout. COVID combined with the mail-in balloting created a major enthusiasm gap bridge. A lot of people were excited for Trump. Not a lot of people were excited for Biden. So they just, everybody was freaked out. Or, the people who tend to vote in person stayed home. And the unenthusiastic people all got mail-in ballots, right? So they just closed the enthusiasm gap. Now they're not going to be able to do that. So Biden's in dire shape, they say. Biden's apparent challenges have been underscored in recent days by a string of polls painting a neck-and-neck race with Trump. This is interesting too in the context of what we're talking about. The more the polls continue to favor Trump, the better that is for Trump's defense, okay? All of these defendants, okay, I know there's a lot of concern that Jenna Ellis or Sidney or Kenneth are all going to flip on Trump. I still don't think that's going to happen. Not from what we've seen yet. Now it might, we'll see. But I'm still not at this moment. Even though they've taken guilty plea proceedings with their deferred adjudications, I still don't think so. But the more that Trump looks like he's going to win, the less inclined they're going to be to go against the Trump train, right? So it lends legitimacy to what Trump is saying and delegitimizes what the government is saying, whether it's Fannie or whether it's Jack Smith. They all look illegitimate. And so it's much better for Trump's defense. And we'll probably get back into that later on the show today, because I think it's in Trump's interests and it's in the right's interest to take Jenna, to take Sidney, to take Chesebro, to take Scott Hall and bring them within the bosom of MAGA. Okay, absolutely. Hey, we know you had to take a plea deal. We know you're victims of a political prosecution. We still love you anyways. All right. Why? Because you do not want them to testify. And if you start throwing them to the wolves, if you start throwing them overboard, they're a lot more inclined to do that, in my opinion. Anyways, there's a subcomponent to this. When you have political prosecutions, obviously the political process is going to correlate and engineer itself back into the political process. The prosecution cannot be separated from the politics. The former president led Biden by 2 points in a national Emerson College poll released on Friday, and by 4 points, on a Bloomberg Morning Consult poll from Thursday of 7 key swing states that will most likely decide the outcome of the 2024 race. Another Emerson poll out of Penn, released earlier this month, found Trump with a 9-point lead over the president. That's a big one. And meanwhile, Biden has been dogged by approval ratings that have remained around the low 40s, much like Trump's up to the 2020 election. Now, the Biden campaign said, we're not worried about this. We're far away. Kevin Munoz pointed to Bloomberg. He says, you said last October that a recession was 100% certain, but now the economy's strong and we're coming off historic midterms and blah, blah, blah. A little bit more analysis there, but it is closely split. Many Democrats are brushing off the polls. Another Democrat has flirted with the idea of running against Trump, said he's not ruled it out yet. Politico reported that others are making calls about possibly jumping in. If that happens, it could deviate from Biden. Democratic strategist Ted Devine said Biden's approval rating needs to rise, but it does not need to be higher than his eventual total. All right, so interesting, right? I basically can feel that. I think that a lot of people that, I interact with are all seeing this. They're watching 8% mortgage rates. They're watching a war break out in the Middle East. They're watching the border in total catastrophe. Their dollar keeps inflating, and they keep lying to us all about how everything's just incredible.